The system is failing. We're going to have more homelessness, more unemployment, and the government has to print more money. It's a command and control economy where the government tells you everything. I just don't trust our government. And they're going to have to start printing pretty quickly. And the more they print, the less value, purchasing power the dollar has, or the loonie, or the yen, or the peso. People are talking about inflation. I think we're in depression right now, and we're going to be the biggest depression in world history.
In the 1970s, that's when the world was changing.
The biggest bust in the history of the world is coming up. It's pensions. They trusted the government. They trusted their pension would be there, and it's going to go bust. And that's us. We'd get crushed.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today. And before I get started, I have to give you a quick update. Ladies and gentlemen, in my mentorship program and on my OnlyFans, my sincerest apologies. I had stated I was going to post my exit strategy on both platforms. And while the exit strategy is almost completed, it's been delayed in its post. It is going to be up very soon, and the reason it's delayed is because files got corrupted, because the file size was so massive that the files would not merge together. This is the hardest piece of work, and the piece of work I've put the most effort into in my life as a content creator. And the reason is because I go in depth for hours talking about the perfect exit strategy mindset you need to have. It was originally going to be one massive video. Now it's going to be divided into 3 parts purely because it doesn't fit, because of how big it is. That being said though, guys, stay tuned for it. And I really hope you guys enjoy the effort I put in. That being said though, let's get to the content for the day, as I need to give you a brief reminder that Brad Garlinghouse stated that what you'll find in the SEC's emails with Bill Hinman will shock you. David Schwartz stated he feels most confident in Ripple's success now than he has in a long time. And I believe it's because Ripple knows how badly they're whooping the SEC's ass. In my personal opinion, there's no coincidence that Elon Musk commented on Brad Garlinghouse's tweet. I gave you the Elon PayPal connection. And something I'm very frustrated about is that a lot of people stated, "Bull, Elon has not joined the XRP army. He merely made one comment." You don't understand how important this comment is. It shows that Elon Musk is paying attention to Ripple. That is important. Elon Musk single-handedly propelled Dogecoin to unprecedented heights, and Dogecoin is a shitcoin. If Elon Musk is aware in any capacity of XRP's utility, and his marketing, accompanied with his credibility, gets behind XRP in any capacity, then oh man, we have a bull run of bull runs upon us. Do not underestimate how important Elon's acknowledgement was. And the people that are trying to tell you that this is no big deal don't realize the weight of Elon's impact. Imagine XRP's utility with Elon Musk's meme power and humor. That to me is even more of a fireworks display than you could ever have expected. And in my personal opinion, if we are going to get an XRP fireworks display, if we are going to get the XRP perfect storm, and if we are going to get an XRP settlement, it would happen within the next 3 weeks. Jeremy Hogan has stated time and time again November 15th is one of the most important dates this XRP case is going to have. And that's because all of the cards are then going to be on the table at that moment in time. I understand as an XRP Army member for almost 5 years now how frustrating the wait has been. But this case is coming to an end. And with everything on the table, the most likely time for a settlement is now. I'm gonna play you a clip from Jeremy Hogan's most recent video discussing the probabilities of this, the logic for why the SEC would want to keep these Hinman emails under wraps, and why I'm so excited for our immediate future. Please take a listen.
Since this is crazy speculation time, what about a resolution of the case? Well, I'm not going to hold back here. All the cards are on the table at this point. All major issues have been decided by the judge. The emails have been handed over. The parties know exactly how strong each side's position is. If the SEC doesn't want those emails made public, between now and the end of the year is the time. Now, as I've mentioned before, Ripple would certainly love to move on from this case, and there's only one thing it requires. Let's hear it from Ripple's general counsel himself.
This case settles if the SEC makes clear that Ripple sales and distributions of XRP and XRP's trading in the secondary market does not constitute a security. If they're willing to acknowledge that, the case settles, and settles very, very quickly.
And there you have it. And so we can safely assume that the SEC has so far not agreed to settle with the stipulation that Ripple's future sales of XRP would not be considered sales of securities. And if you think about it, Ripple really has no wiggle room on this issue, so it's up to the SEC to really decide if the case settles or not. And in that light, the worse the litigation goes for the SEC, the better the chances are. And so you have to think that at this moment in time, if I was the SEC, I'd be thinking very hard about whether this is the hill I wanted to die on. Bad facts make bad law, and there are a couple big pitfalls in this case for the SEC, but it's decision time for them, and we'll probably know shortly. But back to the case, there are still two things I'm waiting for and want to see. First, there's the SEC's response to Ripple's reply brief in regard to horizontal commonality. That will be filed November 15, and those will be the final briefs before the case goes to the judge for a decision. It won't happen, but technically the judge could rule on the case on November 16 if she wanted. But the last thing I want to see, and that I think could really push this case in Ripple's favor, is the amicus brief from attorney John Deaton. Whether you and I bought XRP expecting profits from the efforts of Ripple is still a major issue in the case and has been brought up in the pleadings already, but I haven't talked about it yet because I'm waiting to see what 75,000 XRP purchasers have to say on the issue. I'd say that's fairly relevant, don't you? Looking forward to seeing it, John. You're almost there, almost there. And you too, my friends, you're almost there. The last briefs will be on November 15, and then it's just a waiting game. Almost there.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are almost there. We've waited so long and we're almost there. Whether it's Tap Jets, Spend the Bits, the 75,000 XRP holders, John Deaton is representing in a lawsuit against the SEC. The XRP army is vast, large, and powerful. That you cannot ignore. Something I'm gonna say to all of you is, it's settlement season in my opinion. There is nothing I'm going to try to do more than mentally prepare you and have you ready ahead of time for any possible scenario. And there are two things you need to be ready for at all times. One, you need to be prepared for generational wealth from XRP and your other altcoins, and you need to know how to take profits. But two, at the exact same time, you need to be ready for the greatest financial catastrophe in human history. Both of those things, in my opinion, will happen at around the same time. Utility digital assets like XRP and others, in my opinion, will be the solution to multi-trillion-dollar problems that are going to be taking place in the financial system. To me, there's no coincidence. A possible settlement could happen right as the financial system is collapsing. And while there are no guarantees in the world, the one thing I can actually say is, if you've been tuning into the XRP community's content in any capacity over the last few years, you'll be better informed and better prepared to deal with the coming recession and financial crisis than any other community of people on the planet. That is a fact, everyone. And it is my honor to be presenting to all of you every single day. With that being said, guys, I'm gonna cap off this video with a bit of a different outro than normal. I'm gonna play you a recent video by one of my favorite content creators on the planet, Patrick Bet-David. He was discussing Ray Dalio and how right now Ray Dalio is actually bullish on cash. It's important that you guys understand that profit taking needs to happen from your altcoins if a bull run does occur. And it's important to note that cash flow is going to be king during recessionary times. Keep all of this in mind and listen to this content as it might help you in the days, weeks, and months to come. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
Ray Dalio, the founder of Bridgewater & Associates, who's worth $19 billion, who has built one of the most powerful companies in America, a book he's written that every executive CEO must read, Principles, changed his position on cash recently. But I first want to read to you what he said in 2020 about cash. On January 21st, 2020, he said, cash is trash, get out of cash, there's still a lot of money in cash. However, just recently, he changed his position and said the following. He no longer thinks cash is trash. He thinks that the short-term interest rate is now about right, meaning it's a good time to have cash. So now, if you're listening to this saying, wait a minute, how do you change your position from cash being trash to cash not being trash? And Buffett, when he had $128 billion in cash, everybody was saying, well, he's not doing the right thing. And just recently, Q2, Buffett was sitting on $105 billion of cash. How can Dalio say something like this? If you follow his content closely, he says the following in his book. Here's a tweet from him in 2019, August 31st of 2019. He says, if you don't mind being wrong on the way to being right, you'll learn a lot and increase your effectiveness. But if you can't tolerate being wrong, you won't grow, you'll make yourself and everyone around you miserable. Here's one of the principles. Recognize that mistakes are a natural part of the evolutionary process. And here's a man who's worth $19 billion and says cash is no longer trash, right? So for you, if you listen to this, how do you process this? I follow what both of them says. I listen very closely to what Ray Dalio says, one of my favorite interviews I've done in the past. And I follow very closely what Buffett says because Buffett's the GOAT based on what a lot of his peers say. What he's done is unbelievable the last 60 years. He's somebody everybody follows, their competitors, his enemies, his peers, everyone follows. So how do you handle this? Both billionaires, whose advice should you take? Here's the reality of it. For me, I consume a lot of content, I consume a lot of books, I consume a lot of different philosophies, but that doesn't mean everybody is 100% right or everybody is 100% wrong. Cash is trash is right when the stock market's growing and exploding at 10, 15, 20% in a 3-year run rate. If you stay in cash, you're going to miss out on a lot of money. But cash is also king when the economy takes a hit and it keeps going lower. You wish you had some, dry powder right now to be able to go out there and prepare in case of a crisis happens to buy a lot of opportunities. So which one is right? What should you do for yourself with your investments? This is how I process it. There are certain philosophies I follow that I believe are evergreen, meaning I prefer to stay paranoid by always having a little bit of cash because opportunities could come up for me to buy a lot of different things. Imagine if your name is Warren Buffett. Say you have $105 billion today. If you have $105 billion in cash in Berkshire Hathaway today, what would you be doing today? You're like going window shopping. You're like, oh, that's a nice pen. That's a nice wallet. That's a nice purse. That's a nice jacket. That's a nice suit. But you can't buy anything because you don't have cash. You know what Buffett is doing? Oh, that's a nice company. That should be a $28 billion company, but it's worth $6 billion. Let's buy 12% of it. Oh, that's a nice company. That should be an $82 billion company, but it's worth $13 billion. Buy 25% of it. Oh, I love that company right there. Look at that company. It's sexy. It's attractive. The market is looking at it and it's worse than what it really needs to be. Let's look at the numbers. Let's go buy 22% of that company as well. That's what happens when you have $105 billion of cash during times like this. And while everybody else said Warren Buffett may be losing his mind, he's getting too old, Warren Buffett ended up being right in this situation because he gets to buy so many different things that's on sale today because he has cash. So whether it's a Ray Dalio, whether it's a Warren Buffett, whether it's anybody else giving their philosophies, whether it's me sharing with you my content here on Valuetainment, it doesn't matter what it is. Still, go do your own due diligence and come up with certain specific philosophies But here's the reality of it. Even your own philosophies you come up with, you could still end up being wrong at a certain moment, at a certain time, because some philosophies are going to get challenged. They may be good in a certain economy, they may be bad in another economy, but the part of doing anything big in your life is you're going to be wrong many times. If you're going to be wrong being worth $19 billion, I'm sure you don't have a problem being wrong. And if you're going to be Warren Buffett being wrong at certain times, being worth $100 billion, I'm sure you also are not going to have a problem being wrong.